Hey, folks, Matt Donald here. Once more, I'm here to advertise the Matthew Donald Patreon. We've got a couple new patrons. I'm glad people are actually listening to this thing. I appreciate the support. Our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Matthew Donald, we have bonus episodes for Paleobites, as well as the old episodes early and ad-free, because ads suck, but I need them to make money. So here's one, and you've already listened to another, I assume. Isn't capitalism great? Ryan Reynolds with his Mint Mobile. Our last episode, we talked about Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart because it had a dinosaur level. Last month, we talked once more about the obscure park builder game Dino Island, because I don't think we did it justice last time. That episode is still to come. Don't worry, it'll be arriving soon. And this month, we're going to talk about Nigel Marven's Sea Monsters, A Prehistoric Journey. Oh, it's going to be great. Such wonderful, wonderful stuff from our good old time-traveling paleontologist friend Nigel Marven. Good stuff. Link is in the description for you can sign up to the Patreon. Thank you for your support. Have a good day. Da, 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 da.
Roar. Growl. Snarl. Bellow.
Welcome to Paleobites, the podcast that slaps like the fin of a beached plesiosaur and then dies. My name is Matthew Donald, and each week I and a rotating series of guest co-hosts talk about and rate a genus of prehistoric animal, be it dinosaur, mammal, arthropod, and so on. This week I'm also joined by someone who slaps. It's Ben O'Regan. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right, except for the fact, and I was telling you this was going to vent about this before, and there's just a section of my house where the power is out, but only a section. We thought we blew a fuse, so we checked the fuse, the thing. No, they're all fine.
Wiring?
They're all like, but it must be something with the wiring, and it's really annoying because it's in the basement, which is where I live, and also it's connected this part of the house that doesn't work, where all these switches don't work, but some of them do. It also is the wire that's connected to the hot water heater. So we have no hot water. So, yeah. And guess what? I don't know if you guys celebrate this New Zealand. I don't know if this is an American holiday or worldwide holiday. I think it's just American holiday. But Labor Day is this Monday.
No, we have that. Just a different day.
Okay. But here in America, Labor Day is, on Monday, which means that, of course, this happened on a holiday weekend, and we won't be able to get anyone to come out and fix it until Tuesday. I mean, we could, but it cost way more money, so we're waiting until Tuesday. So
don't blame you.
So I would like to take a shower, but I hate cold showers. Apparently, it's an autism thing where it's like having such insensitive sensory stuff is very autistic. It's like, and now some people really like cold showers. I just can't do it.
Fair enough.
Oh man,
I don't particularly like cold water either, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, it can be nice to get in a slightly cooler pool after being out in the hot sun for a while and sweaty and such. You know, that can be nice, but other than that, no. So that's not fun. Adulting is great. I mean, call the electrician. Deal with problems. The good news is that my computer, which is down in the basement, is safe. It's one of the plugs that has not been having issue. I mean, I guess if it was having an issue, I could just use my Steam Deck to play games.
Oh, is your laptop not working correctly?
I only use my laptop exclusively to write, but if I wanted to browse the internet and do other sort of work, I would just use that laptop rather than my computer here. If the computer here didn't work because of the power situation.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. So. Speaking of steam, like the vents of tar pits. Speaking of tar pits, prehistoric stuff. Dakotadon.
A dinosaur from Dakota.
Yeah. Is North Dakota or South Dakota, does that connect to the steam like in Yellowstone? I don't think it does. I think it's just Wyoming and Montana. Yeah. And Idaho.
Here's an interesting fact for you, though. The only reason that there are two Dakotas, North and South, is because the Democrats and Republicans couldn't agree on where the capital would be.
I don't even heard that, but that's funny. They really should just merge into one. No one cares about the Dakotas. I say that, actually, South Dakota has some good stuff in it. Like, not just Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore's overrated, and also it's stolen land. That was a sacred mountain that we just carved a bunch of white people onto. But
wasn't the guy that did that also a Klan member or Klan adjacent?
I wouldn't be surprised, but Reptile Gardens, though, in South Dakota is a great zoo, so It's exclusively reptile themed, which is often sometimes when I play Planet Zoo, which isn't often, but occasionally I do, I like to build reptile zoos. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, so Dakotadon, it's from the Barremian Age Lower Cretaceous Lakota Formation of South Dakota, USA. And listeners probably actually know this dinosaur without realizing that's because if you remember hearing back in your childhood or whatever that Iguanodon was found in both North America and Europe, now we know Iguanodon was found exclusively in Europe, and the North American version is Dakotadon. So I remember when this got transferred over. I think I complained about it on our old forum, Carno's Taken Universe.
I think you did too.
Yeah. So it means tooth of the.
It used to be known as Iguanodon lacatoensis.
Lacotaensis. Yeah. So type is an iguanodontid. More specifically, Styracosternia ankylopalexian. You know what that means? Because I didn't until about 5 minutes ago.
Nope.
When writing this, doing research for this creature. But all the hadrosaurs and iguanodons are them, except for the more basal ones, like the rhabdodontids, like Mutaburosaurus and Rhabdodon.
Yep.
I swear ornithischian classification is a pain in the ass. I miss when things were dryosaurs and hypsilophodonts and iguanodonts and hadrosaurs, but now we all have this bullshit. And apparently hypsilophodontids aren't even a valid group anymore because all the ornithischian dinosaurs we lumped into it weren't actually related. So...
Well, that's wastebasket testing for you. It's like what used to happen with Megalosauria.
Megalosaurus and and Cetiosaurus.
And its family in general.
Yeah, Cetiosaurus was the first sauropods discovered, so a lot of early sauropods were under Cetiosaurus.
Hell, I think at one point there were like 17 Triceratops species. Now it's just like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like Triceratops, Horridus and Triceratops forest or something.
And Triceratops Horridus, yeah, I know that one.
That's actually time for a quick bit of Jurassic Park trivia there. The Triceratops you see in all the Jurassic Park and World movies is a hybrid of the 2 known subspecies.
Really? Because of
because its appearance. It's got part of the frill of one and more of the horns of another, so it seems like InGen spliced the DNA by accident.
Well, that's an interesting sort of thing. I've seen a lot of artwork of Triceratops with the brow horns curved more at the end. Is that based on a new discovery, or is that just flair added for because we don't know the keratin shape?
I think it might be flair inspired by
because
what's it called? Nasutoceratops.
Nasutoceratops, yeah. Because it would make sense that their horns would be even bigger in real life because they'd be covered in keratin, right, or something like that. So they wouldn't just be the bone that we see, surely. Size for Dakotadon: 6 to 7 meters / 20 to 23 feet long, 1 to 1.1 tons. So a bit smaller than the European Iguanodon, but it was an herbivore, though, much like it. In Early Cretaceous, much like it, 125 to 121 million years ago. Location, as the name suggests, Dakota, specifically South Dakota, USA. It was described in 2008 pop culture appearances as this used to be North American Iguanodon species. Any work featuring Iguanodon in North America retroactively is depicting this. Like Walking with Dinosaurs, Disney's dinosaur technically, although they never say he's Iguanodon. And they also never say it's North America, but I like to think he's a Dakotadon, so I can add one more example.
I think we're not meant to think too hard about that part of dinosaur, given A, the lemurs, which are way too early.
Yeah.
B, you've got a Carnotaur way too far north, and then you got Velociraptors, and then you've got a Brachiosaurus that's still bloody alive.
That's true. It's probably still an Iguanodon, but all right, fine. The only example I could think of then is the Walking with Dinosaurs one. So... Yeah. But
and the Brachiosaurus could probably be a Sauroposeidon or something similar.
That's true. And also a Brachiosaurus is often depicted in the same way that Giraffe Titan is, because that's the one we have the complete skeleton of, rather than Brachiosaurus. So a lot of Brachiosaurus versions are actually based off of the African variant, which is now Giraffe Titan. So. So it's that meme, Allosaurus had never seen such bullshit before. That's what I think of with this.
No, I haven't heard of it.
It's like this. It has a picture of Big Al just before he's dying, but someone took it like when he's in the desert and you see a close up of his face, and he's meant to look like weak and whatever, but he also looks kind of grumpy. So people often use it as like a reaction to someone saying something stupid. They're like Allosaurus or Big Al or Allosaurus jabansi or whatever the species is had never seen such bullshit before.
That's kind of funny.
It is.
Pretty much the only major dinosaur memes I'm familiar with and can remember off by heart would be like Velociraptor, Raptor Jesus, or Muhammad Rex.
Oh yeah. There's one, because a lot of memes, these are like what's called snow clone memes, or the ones where like takes two images and makes them like puts text on certain ones to mean different things. I saw one because Walking with Dinosaurs was announced to come back next year, right? So someone did a meme of, it showed the Eustreptus spondylus by the ocean saying, Walking with Dinosaurs fans chilling with no content. And then the next one was the Lipleurodon coming up behind it and said, Walking with Dinosaurs reboot announced for 2025.
God, what the hell's that?
Okay, you just sent me through Discord Miley Cyrus, and it's of a Miley Cyrus head photoshopped onto one of those old-timey T-Rexes. The hell? Hold on, I'm gonna send you the. If we're sending stuff through this, I'm gonna send you the Allosaurus. I've never seen such before.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so it's you know this image.
I get it now.
Because remember that's the one where Big Al is dying in the desert, but so he's meant to look weak, but he looks just grumpy there. He's not weak. He's just sick of your crap. Anyways, Dakotadon. So, where's my Dakotadon notes? Okay, hold on. Okay, it's over here. Dakotadon, there's not really much to know about with Dakotadon that just makes it distinctive from Iguanodon. I guess we could talk about, because if you know Iguanodon, you know Dakotadon. But I guess we could talk about what makes it distinctive, because its assignment has been controversial. So I'm trying to find if I can find the paper that shows specifically why it was distinct enough to be its own genus. I probably should have looked this up before. Okay. The reason why it was described as separate is because it's more basal, yeah. So, or basal, however that word is pronounced. So that one word always drives me crazy. There's
it does drive me nuts too.
Yeah, it's sort of like niche. Is it niche? Is it niche? Is it niche? Is it niche?
Or is it niche?
Is it niche? Is it Nietzsche? Is it Frederick Nietzsche?
But I like it, that man. He has a nice smile. Let's go wear his face.
Okay, so it looks like, so it was in iguanodontid. It was a group like that, but it was more derived, while Dakotadon...
Here's something interesting I just saw.
Yeah.
It says, the original iguanodon tooth is held at Te Papa Tongariro, the National Museum of New Zealand, Wellington, although it's not on display. I did not know that.
Oh, you better go find it. I mean, because New Zealand obviously is so small that you can just walk to anywhere, right?
It says it arrived in New Zealand following the move of Gideon Mantell's son Walter there after the elder Mantell's death. His fossils went to Walter.
Oh. Okay.
The more you know.
The more you know, indeed. Okay, let's see. Okay, so iguanodontids is a family of iguanodontians belonging to Styracosternia, a derived clade within Ankylopoloxia. Okay, so Ankylopoloxia, a distinct clade of ornithischian dinosaurs that lived from the late Jurassic to the late Cretaceous. Okay, so Camptosaurus is an Ankylopoloxia. So, like that, that the Jurassic one that was in Zoo Tycoon. So, So Dakotadon is kind of a slightly more derived variant of that. So Camptosaurus and Iguanodon are the earliest Ankylopoloxia, but then further on, you got Styracosternids, which are separate, which later evolved into the iguanodontids further down the cladogram, but are not quite there yet. So you have the more basal ones before the iguanodontids
that share some features but aren't quite the group.
Yeah, so in that sort of group, you got Euteodon.
Never heard of it.
Hippodraco. Heard
of that one.
Osmachosaurus. This one I want to do because it sounds so funny. It sounds like it's trying to one-up Iguanocolossus. So, that's a fun one. Oh, and Proa. That was a... Proa is one that I've done an episode on before that with my friend Laura Owsley. Proa. I just found that one a random dinosaur generator. I'm like, that sounds like a funny name, Proa. So, and so we did the whole episode, but it's like, wasn't that a snake? No, you're thinking of a boa. No, isn't that about a story in the Bible? No, that's Noah. Oh, isn't it like a type of architecture and East Asian architecture? No, that's a pagoda. Oh, okay. We do that the whole episode.
And imagine you get a genie who's a literal genie, so you get the word wrong, and when you ask for a bird boa, he gives you a bloody boa snake.
A boa. Or if that's for, he says, a bird, how about a moa? So yeah,
I'm just thinking of that live-action Aladdin, like where Will Smith's take on the genie. He says to Aladdin, "Be real careful with your wishes. Like, make me a prince." He gives him an example. I could give you a flamboyant gay prince.
I could make you a prince. Here's a prince for you. It's like, no, I want you to make me turn into a prince. No, I like that too. I know people give the live-action Disney movies a lot of gaff.
I like that one.
That one's good, I think. That one. I also really like the Jungle Book one. I think that one's great.
Yes, that is really good.
That one,
Dave Filoni, wasn't it?
It was Jon Favreau, actually.
Favreau, but I always mix up which of the two wasn't Star Wars first.
And that movie doesn't have a boa in it, but it does have a python. Speaking of boa, that sounds like proa. And speaking of proa, let's talk about Dakotadon, which is in the same...
Sorry. This will be an interesting episode.
Look, if you look at the Dakotadon page on Wikipedia and me trying to find papers on it, there's not a lot. But so I think it's more interesting to talk about the reason why it's different from iguana is because it seems to be it was more basal, and so it's in this group that includes some other creatures, like I said. So I'll have to show this episode to Laura Owsley because you remember proa? This one is like proa, but it used to be iguanodon. She's like, I don't know what any of those words mean. I don't know dinosaurs. I'm just here because I'm your friend and I'm along for the ride.
I guess you could look at going back to what we said before on this with the whole basil thing or whatever, is that it's like with what we see with some of these not quite theropods, like Herrerasaurus, we're still not sure if it's classified as a theropod or a stem sauropod or in between the two groups.
Right, because now we think that
it clearly looks like a theropod, but it's probably not one.
Well, and Eoraptor is now thought to be more closely related to the sauropods, so... It's crazy.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, so it is interesting. Yeah, for sure. And then the more basal, like ornithischians, even earlier, like the ones in the early Jurassic, like Lesothosaurus, and or
they're very close to theropods, aren't they?
Yeah. So those
wasn't it thought for a long time that dinosaur was actually an artificial grouping, and that the ornithischians and saurischians aren't actually related?
That was a briefly considered a thought that the sauropods would somehow be separate from the group, but the theropods and the ornithischians somehow were still in it. But then they found out that I thought
it was the other way around. Sauropods and the things were one, but the ornithischians were a completely different group
you would
of animals.
Think, but apparently the sauropods were more separate, which is weird because they're more closely to the theropod. I don't know, but that was just discounted because the technical definition of dinosaur does fit all those creatures still. So the anatomical definition.
Guessing just the way you look at it is evolutionary, because sauropods are so different in terms of how they how big they get, and being primarily quadrupedal even more than later ornithischians and they get is they split off very early, whereas the ornithischians and the theropods had already got the bipedal build.
Right, I could see that, but also sauropods had those air sacs that birds also have that allow them to fly. The cavities in their bones
which ornithischians don't seem to have.
They don't seem to have. That's the thing. So, the reason why sauropods were able to get so big is because their bones were a lot less dense because they had the cavities in their bones the same way birds do that allow them to fly, but they used to be big. But yeah, we as much as we like those pseudo-sauropods and the speculative evolution dinosaur project, I don't know if that's possible just because I don't know if they could get that big. Shantugosaurus
they could probably get big, but they'd be these big broad things, sort of like how...
like Shantungosaurus?
The Indricophiums and that.
Oh, okay.
The long-necked rhinos, they were basically at the limit of how big they could get because they were thickly boned.
Yeah, because Shantungosaurus is the biggest non-sauropod dinosaur. And it's big, obviously, but it's not long neck big, or at least big long neck big. It's bigger than a lot of other long necks, but it's...
Indeed.
Yeah, so... even poor old common Camarasaurus is bigger than Shantungosaurus, although not by much. So... Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what else might come up in the fossil record if we get lucky. That might shed more light on the early evolutionary relationships like that, because it's it now seems to be believed that because of how well adapted they already were, that the ichthyosaurs might have originated in the Permian.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard that.
I mean, species can evolve really quickly to take on a new shape. I mean, mosasaurs went from these monitor lizard-like things to ichthyosaur-like within 20 million years. but based on new constructions. But like
now we think they're much more whale-like looking too. Like those whale-like looking mosasaurs and spec are actually more like what we think the normal ones look like now. Like so.
Yeah, as we've mentioned in the past.
It's like,
but it just seems like the ichthyosaurs appeared already perfected, and of course, while they were more diverse in the Jurassic, their heyday was actually the Triassic, because that's when they got so damn big.
Yeah, with the Shonisaurus and Ichthyotitan, yeah, so,
yeah, finally something that surpasses the blue whale. Take that, you stupid
well, and also
mammal.
it might not, either. Like, we still don't know. And the same with, there was also, Peru cetus that might have surpassed the blue whale. You heard about that, right? The basilosaur.
What's
it's
that?
a basilosaurid from 36 million years ago. Yeah, it might surpass the blue whale. It has very thick bones and it's very dense. It's not as long as blue whale, but has much thicker bones. And yeah, Peru cetus. Look it up. It's a really big, thick basilosaurid.
It's really weird when you look at whale evolution, as we know it. Like, you got one branch that eventually gives rise to the more streamlined ones, and then the early ones that aren't sort of like croc-like, like Ambulocetus or whatever from Walking with Beast. They're like big serpent-like things.
I know, it's really interesting. And then those are the ones that died out, and the smaller ones that were around later evolved into the bigger, more modern ones. So, like, it's interesting what evolution dictates is the correct... is not. Well, obviously, there's no correct anything. Evolution there's no path to evolution. It just does whatever is around. But, like, it's sort of like how in Gondwana, the Carcharodontosaurids were these, massive... big theropods, but they were usurped by the abelosaurids.
Primitive abelisaurs.
Yeah, it's just, which is weird because you wouldn't think. I mean, yes, I know the Carcharodontosaurs are bigger, and bigger doesn't obviously equal better, but like the abelosaurids had such short heads and such short arms and were much stockier and smaller. Why were they better?
And a shittier bite.
Yeah, they had much weaker bites. Why were they better than the Carcharodontosaurs? But they were.
Doesn't there seem to have been some extinction wave that seems to have... It doesn't seem to have outright eliminated the Carcharodontosaurs. We're still finding later ones. If
I think I read the latest...
But they're no longer dominant.
The latest one we have is like this one called Sauchi Long, which means like shark-toothed dragon.
That sounds familiar.
Which is the coolest name ever. But it's one of the latest ones, and it was from 89 million years ago. So they didn't last.
Getting
yeah,
close.
So, but yeah, the abelosaurids lasted from about then all the way up to the end. So,
and they go all the way back to the Jurassic, given that
isn't
Carnotaur
Ceratosaurus is meant to be.
Ceratosaurus is one.
Is it one, or is like an early ancestor of one? It's not an abelosaurid itself, I don't believe.
I think it's related to the
I know
mummy, but if that's
Carnotaurus
the case,
is,
they seem to have gotten more primitive with time.
Let's see. Yeah, Ceratosaurus. I like to think
I don't even think they were feathered.
they were not. No, they weren't. Like, not at all, because they had the scoots. Why would they need to be? So Ceratosaurus, it's in the Ceratosauroid, which is related to. Let's see. This is related to dinosaurs and evolution. We were talking about that with Dakotadon, so I like to think this is relevant. So. Okay, so yes, the Ceratosaurids, yeah, like there was the Neo-Ceratosauridae. First you had the early Ceratos, like Deltadromeus, Spinosstropheus, Berberosaurus, and Elaphrosaurus. Then you had the Neo-Ceratosaurids, the early one Ceratosauridae, like Ceratosaurus and Genuiodictes, as we call it, which is another episode I've done based on the random name generator. And then you got to the early Abelosauroids, not quite Abelosaurids, like the Noasaurids. So you got Masiakasaurus, Noasaurus, Velocisaurus. And then you get to the abelosaurids itself. So you have like Rugops, Eoabelosaurus, Abelosaurus, Majungasaurus, Indosuchus, Rajasaurus, yeah.
Carnotaurus and stuff.
And then, yeah, Carnotaurus is a much more derived one. Carnotaurus is Carnotaurines, Brachiostoria. Here's the thing. And I'm gonna end this, because I feel like we could be talking about... it's interesting that this Dakotadon episode is the one... where we could be talking about the evolution of dinosaurs forever, because
why don't you rework it to a special?
Yeah, I could, but I'll definitely leave a lot of this in though, because I think this is actually important stuff to know and to learn. But that classic theory that I don't know if it's really a theory. Some people have it more. If it's more just a think question. But like when you die, and you can ask God one question, and He'll give you the answer to anything, but just one question. You heard that concept,
right?
If that happens.
I've heard variations of it.
If that happens, I want to be like, hey, God, I want the complete, accurate cladogram of Dinosauria. I want to know what everything is related to and all this stuff in ways that paleontologists might not know. And he's like, okay, fine, here you go. And I'm like, I'll be studying it forever in heaven. Because I'm so curious.
Funnier than what I would say to him.
What?
I'd just say, kneel before Zeus. Get off my throne.
Yeah. Nah, that's fine. Alright. Alright, so yeah, the Dakotadon itself, not really interesting, but does lead to a lot of interesting discussions. But let's rate it 1 out of 65 million. I'm going to rate it on its own like 22 million or 21 million. But I think the discussion opens of it being so basal compared to the other iguanodontids and this sort of thing. I don't know, I think that could be interesting itself, but that's not related to the animal itself. It looked cool with the zebra stripes in Walking with Dinosaurs, though.
Yes, it did. I'm going to rate it 1 million since we basically spent all this time talking about stuff related to it or not related to it at all.
Actually, no, to be fair, it wasn't zebra stripe. It was more like okapi stripes, wasn't it? Because it was mostly brown with a little bit of stripes on the back. Or no, did it? Was that thought in the moment?
I'm actually trying to remember now.
I thought it was. Either way, that wasn't meant to be Dakotadon anyways. They thought that was North American Iguanodon.
I think the Dakotadon ones look a bit more colourful because the ones that the Utahraptors are eating are very bland coloured.
They're very green, those ones, yeah. So,
So it would be the ones we were just talking about then.
Right. All right, well, that's it for this week. If you want to get a hold of the show, you can contact me at palebytespodcast@gmail.com. For any general questions to me or any of the co-hosts, like Ben O'Regan here, who's not on social media, except for Facebook on occasion, but don't send him a Facebook request. That's creepy. So,
see you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
I think it's a very informative one. I think this one could be good. I'm on social media at palebytespod on Twitter and palebytespodcast on Instagram, and also Matthew Creator on Facebook and Matthew64 everywhere else. I have a book series on Amazon, Megazoic, available for print and Kindle. I might have mentioned Dakotadon somewhere in there because I was definitely aware of it at the time of writing Megazoic. But would I have mentioned it? Hold on. I'm curious. I would have been just a background character if I did. I am not seeing it. But that is not due to a lack of not knowing about it. That is just me not finding it interesting enough. So, there you go. That's it for this week. I say at the end of our episode of Paleo Bites, Dakota, more like Proa, more like Boa? No, I don't know.
Oh, have a shower, my lord.
I can't have a shower. My hot water is gone.